This simple demonstration will contrast the Sidehead feature of FrameMaker with some of the more common workarounds in Microsoft Word. FrameMaker has true sideheads. They're quite extraordinary. You actually see one here in the outer margin that I've just selected and made it turn black. And I'm swiftly going to just change the paragraph style here from my catalog. Watch what happens. As I select heading 1, the selected text nests itself into the normal column. And if I can also change it to a third type of style, which is known as a run-in head. Notice that the run-in head will nest itself on the same baseline as the text that follows it. Let's go back and change it to a heading 2. Notice that it not only goes into the outer margin, but that the paragraph properties associated with the font have changed it to uppercase. And what is the secret of our side head? This actually comes from pagination properties associated with the paragraph designer. Here you can see that it's currently identified as a side head, and the alignment is with the first baseline of the text next to it. Let's change it to last baseline and see what that looks like. As you can see, it lines up with the last baseline of the heading. The most popular choice is first baseline, so we will do that and go ahead and apply it. It's just as simple as that. A simple click will change it from the outer margin back to in place like normal headings which people are used to. Notice that we're not using a table cell, we're not using any type of a text box, and there's no cut and paste involved. Let's quickly contrast this with one of the more popular workarounds used in Microsoft Word to create side heads. There are a couple different ways to do it. There's a more complex way that involves section heads, but I'm going to show you what I've seen most commonly during my years in the translation industry. Here you'll see what appears to be a side head out in the margin, but notice as I select it we see the invisible box appearing, and that's because this is actually a text box that's been anchored and then repositioned out into the outer margin. Now, if you don't have it selected, it looks okay. And notice that I can actually add text in front of it. For instance, up here after this paragraph, I'm simply going to create a simple bulleted list just so you can see that the text will indeed move on down the page. However, where it becomes a bit sticky is if you want to change this heading style into this type of heading style. Remember with FrameMaker we were able to do that with a single click. And the way that this would be accomplished is you would locate the position where you want to have a normal headline. You would go ahead and choose that style and put in some text as a placeholder. Here's where cut, paste, and delete is required. We would select the text, swiftly copy it, go in and backspace it out. We would paste the text back in, so we're up to about the 4th or 5th step, and finally we would actually select the original side head and delete it. So as you can see, there's no simple clicking back and forth. Furthermore, what makes this a little more subject to problems is if you decide that you simply want to copy an existing side head so that you can move it and edit it, that's not as simple as one would hope. If I decide to make a copy of this box side head, as I'm doing right here, I'm going to move down to another location, perhaps right here, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it with Control V. As I do a paste, notice that Word will paste it approximately where the original one was. So what I have to do is remember where I'm associating this with, and then I have to carefully drag it down and line it up with the original heading. And as you can see, this takes a little bit of effort because it's kind of snapping to grid. Eventually I get it where I want it to go, and I can indeed hit some text and have what appears to be a side head. So in summary, what takes minutes in Microsoft Word takes seconds in FrameMaker. With a simple click of the mouse, we can go from regular heading to a run-in heading to side heads. This concludes our demonstration.